Barry LaForge, CDMA Development Group. Why don't you start out by telling me a little bit about what brings the CDG members to Denver? What's going on? You're just planning development and marketing tactics for the coming year, or what's that all up to?
Yeah, we traditionally do our planning midsummer for the coming calendar year, so we're working on 2009. We typically get a number of the vendors together to talk about their plans and how they'll work with the CDG and lay out our plan for the year.
What is the expectation for 2009 for getting prototype systems and trials together for LTE? Is the assumption that we've still got to wait for a little bit of a shakeout in efficient chipsets, et cetera, or are prototypes of LTE essentially ready to go?
Well, I think in terms of development on LTE, there's good progress being made on the chipset side. There's things that have already been announced. I think next year is a year that people are going to be working on some software and prototypes and things like that. You've heard some announcements in terms of rollouts. One of the things we're doing from a CDG perspective is working on CDMA and LTE interoperability. So we're certainly working with the various standards bodies on that. So you'll see demonstration systems certainly next year for sure.
Do you think that the 700 megahertz capability that Verizon and AT&T have already talked about for LTE represents a real gold mine for North America, or do you think that it's going to start being just kind of a special purpose network as compared to the higher frequency bands?
Well, I think the real gold mine right now is the existing CDMA systems and the 3G systems they have in place. Because if you look at the numbers that they're reporting, it's pretty staggering in terms of the revenue growth of data and how they're leveraging their 3G systems. I think that will only continue on to 700. I mean, that's in fact the reason they did 700 is the success they're seeing in 3G and their need for additional capacity. So you'll see it build on that, and I certainly think there's other things you can do with the 700 and with using technologies like LTE or WiMax or what have you that will allow these operators to even leverage wireless even further and come up with different applications that we haven't even addressed as a wireless industry yet.
Now, we were talking with some of the Motorola, Nortel, Alcatel-Lucent representatives in there about the place for WiMax, because there still is this assumption that now that a few groups have talked about LTE as the primary thrust moving forward, that leaves WiMax with nowhere to go. And certainly CDG as an organization does not think that way. I mean, you have to keep your options open for both LTE and WiMax, correct?
Sure. We view OFDM technologies as OFDM technologies, whether they're WiMax or LTE. Our members will implement, some of our members will implement WiMax, some will implement LTE, maybe even some will do UMB, although the majority look like they're doing LTE and WiMax. Our goal is to ensure interworking with both, to ensure the ability for those operators to have those systems to have dual mode devices as well. I think if you look across the board, a large number of operators are looking at LTE, but I think the reality is from a CDMA perspective, we have to support both.
Now, I got the sense from looking at some of the Africa and less developed Asia markets that you're not putting all your thrust behind EVDO and 4G, that even in the legacy CDMA 1 markets, there's going to be continued growth for some of those more rural areas for a long time to come.
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to give any impression at all that we're bringing eggs in the OFDM basket. That's just a project for us, one of many that are working with OFDM. But if you look at the things that we're working on a daily basis, it's the expansion into developing economies like Africa, where CDMA is clearly now growing very rapidly. That has to do with our ability to get handset prices down and also offer data connectivity. So that's going to bode very well for these emerging markets. Then you look into countries like India and even China now. There's huge growth opportunities. In India right now, we're growing at 2 million subscribers a month. Part of that success is driven by us getting handset prices down, but now they even want us to be more aggressive on getting handset prices down for mid-tier and high-tier devices. So we're working with them on that. But clearly those markets are our focus. We're sitting at 450 million subscribers today, and we'll continue to expand that number very aggressively in the future.
Fantastic. Well, this is Loring Werber with the E-Times Market Intelligence Unit. I've been talking with Perry LaForge from CDMA Developers Group, and thanks very much, Perry.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right.